I will never forget the day when the doctors told me that it won't heal anymore and that I have to live with this painful nerve damage. I will never forget the day when I was walking out of this hospital, tears running down my face, and I was hopeless, I was helpless because, well, you believe the man in the white coat. You believe the man in the white coat when they say, you know, you gotta live with it. If it's not healed by now, then it will never heal. That was me shortly after a surgery where a cyst was removed in my bladder, and I then developed, after the surgery, severe nerve damage up to a point where even if I, for example, put my boxer shorts on, I was screaming in pain, and I mean screaming in pain. It was not a beautiful time in my life at all. In fact, it was the worst time of my life, and I say that as somebody who had a heart surgery when I was 13, but this was nothing compared to what I was going through then. And if I had only known this, if I had only known back then, when I developed my nerve damage, that this picture would hold the key and the solution to my problems and would allow me to finally heal my body. Because it's not about searching for a solution in the 3D world, in the 3D reality. It's not about looking matter to matter what I can fix. It's about something completely different. But instead, it's about going into the imaginal act, feeling the wish fulfilled, and then transforming by, in the process, letting go of the past and letting go of the past self, and therefore letting go of your self-concept. If at the moment you're in a similar position as me, where you are suffering from a certain disease or a certain physical ailment, then we can confidently assume that your self-concept is not that of wholeness. It is not that of health. And back then I had to use Neville Goddard's law in order to change that. And now I want to break it down step by step for you. I want to share exactly what I did. And in each step, I want to share a Neville Goddard quote that completely shifted my reality. And the first principle that I want to share with you is the principle: know that you are, and you never have to search for it. And Neville Goddard expresses it in these words: be still and know that you are that which you desire to be, and you will never have to search for it. In spite of your appearance of freedom, of action, you obey, as everything else does, the law of assumption. This quote alone can completely transform your life. And I want to repeat it again, this one sentence, this principle number one: know that you are, and you never have to search for it. Because when you truly understand this, then through the imaginal act, you can attract synchronicities, attract the right people to you in the way that is right for you. And no matter if your physical healing will come through a magical moment in a deep meditation, or if it will come through a traditional doctor who you are then guided to, or if it will come through an alternative doctor, or if it will come through certain supplements that you're taking, it doesn't matter. Your job is not to figure out how it will happen. Your job is not to go on this search. Your job is to go into the imaginal act and to become within yourself the representation of wholeness, the representation of health. And that's exactly what I did. That's exactly what I, at least in the beginning, tried to do, and I failed very often. I mean, I had so many dark nights of the soul. Like, I had moments where I was cutting potatoes, which was back then the only thing that I could actually eat. And I was pointing the knife towards me, and I just thought about ending it all. That was my reality back then, but thankfully, I didn't do that. Otherwise, you would not be able to listen to me right now and to watch this video right now. So always remember, your search ends exactly here. As long as you know that you are deep within you, through the feelings in the imagination, which is what we're gonna discuss right now, that you are whole, that you are healed, you do not have to search. Which leads me to the second principle that I followed and that I invite you to follow in case you are suffering from something similar. And that's the following principle: Your imagination creates your reality. And here's what Neville Goddard says in The Power of Awareness. Hold fast in your imagination to all that is lovely and of good report, for the lovely and the good are essential in your life if it is to be worthwhile. Assume it. You do this by imagining that you already are what you want to be and already have what you want to have. And this quote from Neville Goddard from The Power of Awareness can completely shift your reality. It did it for me. So your imagination creates your reality. And now you might be saying, yeah, but what if I'm sick? What if I'm suffering from pain? What if I'm suffering from a certain disease? How can I possibly think about something good? How can I possibly think about positive things? I mean, how can I do this? I don't say that it's easy. I won't do that. I won't do what other people say in this sphere who say, oh, it's so easy to do that, because it's not. Sometimes it's just not easy. I mean, I had so many moments where I felt desperate, so many moments where it wasn't easy for me at all to picture myself in a new reality, to feel myself into a new reality. But if you truly understand that you throughout the day have to do all kinds of things, and we're going to go into these things right now, in order to stay in that imaginary act, in order to stay in an energy where it's easy for you to feel the wish fulfilled and to go into the imagination. And at some point it feels natural to do that, then you will succeed. Which leads me to the next quote that I want to share with you in the third principle that I want to discuss in this video. Let go of your past and your disease can let go of you. And Joe Dispenza describes it in the sense of the disease lives in the old body, in the old self. It doesn't live in the new self. And Neville Goddard says it in these words. Man believes the future to be the natural development of the past, but the law of assumption clearly shows that this is not the case. Which means that you have to let go of the past. You have to let go of holding on to the past. You have to stop living in the past. And when I had this health issue, I could have continued to live in the past. And my past was that from a young age, I heard, be careful, you have a heart condition, you have a weak immune system, just be careful. And of course, if I would have continued in this consciousness of health from my past, I would have not healed my body. And sometimes, or let's say often, it's very hard to let go of the past. But remember that in order to use the law of assumption and in order to upgrade yourself from version 1.0 to version 2.0, you need to let go of the past, because this line here takes you to the future. It doesn't take you to the past. It cannot take you to the past, because the past for me created me having to go under a surgery table, or let's say not under the surgery table, sorry, under the knife and on top of the surgery table. That makes more sense. That's what my past created for me. My past was filled with self-destruction, with the hormones of stress, with overworking myself, with not sleeping enough. That was my past, and I had to let go of that. And only then was I able to create a new body and a new life out of this new consciousness. Which leads me to principle number 4 that I followed. Stay in the present moment, even if it's tedious and annoying. And Neville Goddard describes it with these words. The present moment is all important, for it is only in the present moment that our assumptions can be controlled. The future must become the present in your mind if you would wisely operate the law of assumption. And these are the words from Neville Goddard, and you can find them in The Power of Awareness. So what does that mean? It means that you need to find a way to live in the present moment and to, in the present moment, feel the feelings of your future, to become present when you're too negative, to become present when your thoughts are guiding you down the wrong path, to become present when you, just like me back then, thought these thoughts, I just want to end it all. I don't want to live anymore. I can't do this anymore. Oh, this pain is killing me. And you really have to, you have to understand that when I say nerve damage, I don't just mean a little bit of nerve damage. It got to a point where I couldn't sit in the car because the seatbelt, when it was pressing against my belly, I was crying in pain. When I put my boxer shorts on, I was lying on the floor crying in pain. That was my nerve damage. And it was hard. It was really hard to stay present with my feelings, to not go down the negative path, but it was necessary. And I had to practice it again and again and again. I never said it was easy, but I can confidently say that it's worth it. And this leads me to the next principle. Do not waste one moment in regret. Do not waste one moment in regret, for to think, feeling of the mistakes of the past is to reinfect yourself. Turn from appearances and assume the feeling that would be yours, were you already the one you wish to be. And this was the hardest pill to swallow for me on my journey, because when I had this nerve damage, when I went through this surgery, I had so much regret about my past. I regretted how I treated myself. I regretted how I didn't give my body any rest. I regretted how I always wished to not be alive. I regretted how I even at some point blamed my parents for bringing me into this world. That's how negative I was back then. That's the kind of person I was back then. That's why I always have to laugh when, for example, one of my coaching clients said, "Oh, I wish I had met you earlier." And I'm always like, no. You don't wish that. You don't really wish that, because about 5 years ago, I was a very different person. And the only reason why I am now here is because I assumed another state. And by the way, in case you want to work with me, no matter what you're struggling with, no matter what you want to manifest, by you going to affirmation2manifestation.com/coaching, then you can find out more about the individual coaching sessions I offer. Or by simply clicking on the second link in the description. The first link leads you to my Abundance Reality Shift coaching program. But no matter if you decide to work with me or not, you have to let go of regret. You have to let go of this feeling of, oh, I wish I had done this earlier. I wish I had understood this earlier. I wish I hadn't waited so long. You need to let go of it. Because only if you let go of this feeling of regret can you transform yourself and therefore transform your life. Otherwise, you will only be clinging to the past, because remember, the past created the disease, and the disease can no longer live in the future body if you create it from a new level of consciousness. And this leads me to the next principle. Feel yourself into a state of wholeness. And here's what Neville Goddard says to that. Ideas are impressed on the subconscious through the medium of feeling. No idea can be impressed on the subconscious until it is felt. But once felt, be it good, bad, or indifferent, it must be expressed. That's what Neville Goddard says in Feeling is the Secret. So you need to feel it. You have to feel it. And I know that sometimes it can be difficult. Sometimes it can be annoying. Sometimes it can be hard. Sometimes you want to cry, you want to give up. I mean, how many times did I break down crying during a meditation because I just couldn't feel it, and the only thing I could feel was the pain in my body. But then you have to try it again and again and again, and yes, again, which leads me to the next principle. Control your feelings, but don't suppress them. And here's what Neville Goddard says in Feeling is the Secret. By control of feeling is not meant restraint or suppression of your feeling, but rather the disciplining of self to imagine and entertain only such feelings as contributes to your happiness. Control of your feeling is all important to a full and happy life. So it's not about suppressing your emotions. It's not about saying, oh, I don't have the negative emotions, everything is great, da 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 da. It's about, yes, sometimes you have to cry. Yes, sometimes you have to let them out. Sometimes you have to punch the pillow or the wall. Please don't punch any person, but sometimes you have to punch the pillow or the wall. But to then control yourself again, to then go back into the imaginary act, to then try it again, to then do it again. That's what it's about. And this leads me to the next principle. Every day is an opportunity to alter your future. You are free to choose the concept you will accept of yourself. Therefore, you possess the power of intervention, the power which enables you to alter the course of your future. And this quote is from The Power of Awareness from Neville Goddard. Every day is a new opportunity for you to feel your future, to feel wholeness, to feel health. I did it every day. I can confidently say in the last 4 years, I didn't miss one day. I meditated every day, every single day, no exceptions. I still remember how when I woke up after my surgery, the first thing that I did while I was in pain was meditating and feeling the feeling and just trying to get out of this reality into a new reality. And for me, it happened, and it can also happen for you. I truly, truly believe that. And now that we come to the end of this video, I hope that you gained some value from it, that it was interesting for you to hear my story, my experience. And of course, I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe to the channel, if you then hit the notification bell. And now that you know how I used Neville Goddard's law to heal my nerve damage, you might also want to find out how I, and how you can do as well, use Neville Goddard's divine agreement to manifest health and wholeness in your life and in your body. And you can find out exactly how I did this and how you can do it as well by clicking on the video that will either now or in a few moments appear here. So watch this video if you want to find out more about how you can do that.